America will pass through a great gate in history. Consummate with the American Revolution, Civil War, and the twin emergencies of the Great Depression and World War II. The risk of catastrophe will be very high. The nation could erupt with insurrection or civil violence, crack up geographically, or succumb to authoritarian rule. This is a quote from the book The Fourth Turning, an American Prophecy by William Strauss and Neil Howe. In this video, I am going over what the fourth turning is and its correlation to astrology. And before we begin, if you could please like and subscribe, that would help my channel greatly. And if you're interested in a personal birth chart reading, looking at your future or looking at some current events that are occurring in your life, link is in the description below. Set up a free 15-minute consultation and we can go over what you were looking for. So what is the fourth turning? It's a generational theory that claims that American history is driven by political and economic crisis, followed by periods of prosperity. And there's four turnings within this cycle. The first turning is the period of high era of promise and belonging, conformity, reward. There's public debates over means but not ends. It's society can-do feeling. Midlifers are powerful in politics. Gender distinctions are the widest. Less protective parenting. Social demand for order peaks as political supply of order rises. Old values of the regimes decays, new civic order are implanted. The second turning is the awakening phase. It's an era of euphoria and defiance. A sense of guilt rises, people guilty about what they did to avoid shame. Individualism is elevated. Private spaces are reinvented. Cultural calendar reset. And gender distinctions narrow. Underprotective parenting is here. Civil order is attacked by the new values regimes. And social demand for order falls as political supply of order peaks. The third turning is the unraveling. So that's the autumn. First turning is considered spring, child, and growth. The second turning is the awakening summer, youth, jubilation, and autumn is the third turning, fragmentation and midlife. So social demand for order reaches nadir as political supply of order fails. Civic order decays and new value regime implants. It's an era of separation. There's anxiety. There's guilt reaches its zenith. Principal individuality is rewarded. Public debate over the ends, not the means. Society can feel but not do. They feel upset about how things are going, but they feel like they cannot do anything. Midlifers are powerful in culture. Gender distinctions are the narrowest and more protective parenting. Parents are more protective about where their children are going, what they're doing. The fourth turning is the crisis point. It's the winter, death, and old age. So the social demand for order rises as political supply of order reaches its nadir. New values regime propels transformation of civic order. An era of survival and gathering. Sense of shame rises. People ashamed about what they did to avoid guilt. Groups are elevated. Public spaces are reinvented. And political calendar reset. I would say it's the end of one political regime to start anew. Gender distinctions widen. And overprotective parenting is more apparent here. These cycles last approximately 80 years. On the screen here, I have a chart. It goes from 1900 to 2040. It's where the awakening period started, the unraveling, the crisis, and then the high, where the cycle starts again. We're currently in the crisis phase because we are in 2025. So in this video, I am focused on the fourth turning. Examples of this fourth turning is the American Revolution, 1770s to the 1780s, Civil War era, the Great Depression and World War II, the 1930s and 40s, and it is said and theorized that we are currently in the fourth turning, and it began around 2008. Uranus, I feel one of the best ways to track the fourth turning because the Uranus has an 84-year cycle. It's approximately the length of the four turning points. Uranus was discovered on March 13th, 1781 by astronomer William Herschel while he was surveying the night sky with a telescope. Uranus What does it mean? It is radical revolution. It's shifts, it's breakthroughs. Uranus in Gemini is associated with information wars, communication revolutions, rapid technological shifts and breakthroughs, rebellion, collapse of old systems, and sudden political shifts. During each of these fourth turnings, Uranus was in Gemini. Uranus was in Gemini during the American Revolution. It was here during the birth of the United States and the collapse of the colonial authority and the rise of a democratic revolution, linked to communication ideas and political ideology. 1775 to 1783 was when Uranus was in Gemini. About 84 years later, in the 1860s, the American Civil War occurred. Uranus was in Gemini. And this is what changed was the U.S. government constitution were redefined, the end of slavery, and massive national restructuring for the United States. Saturn and Neptune were also conjunct in Aries the day before the American Civil War began. About another 84 years later, World War II. Uranus again was in Gemini. It entered in the beginning of 1941 during the escalation of this war. There was global political order rebuilt, creation of the United Nations, and this is a time when the United States became a global superpower. Currently now, we're in the cycle of Uranus entering into Gemini. It entered in 2025, moved retrograde, is back in Taurus at the very end of Taurus. Uranus will move back into Gemini in April. Mid-April, it would move back into Gemini and stay there until 2033. And currently, right now, we can see war occurring overseas, restructuring of global alliances. There's information warfare, AI disruption, and geopolitical shifts. When Gemini enters into Cancer, that could be the beginning of the next phase of the cycle, the first turning. I don't feel that it is a coincidence that Uranus is in Gemini each time of these fourth turnings, where change happens rapidly, aggressively. War breaks out. I do believe that we are undergoing another shift, but I also feel that we're in a cycle of a larger cycle of a larger cycle. Saturn, Neptune, conjunct in Aries, February 20th, and that is the start of a cycle of a larger cycle. So we could be seeing a fourth turning that is completely different than others. It could be resetting society at a global level, a larger level than just the United States. I will be looking further into this and have other videos within this series, so look out for that. Again, if you're looking for a personal birth chart reading, my link is in the description below where I can help you on your own personal journey. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and share.